Okay, we have a huge and major update with two situations. One of those being the #1 wide receiver transfer in the country, Jordan Addison. Originally, it seemed like he was going to leave Pittsburgh to go to USC because they're offering him $3 million, a mansion, and a car. We've already talked all about that and who's going to turn down playing for Caleb Williams, a great quarterback, and then also turn down all the stuff on top of it. It seemed like a done deal. He's going to USC. However, this morning, there were some new reports leaked out. There is now a new team making waves, and well, what do you know? It's Alabama and Nick Saban. There's a real possibility, and it's looking like they now have a chance of getting him, and we're going to talk all about that and what's currently going on. It's crazy. Also, the other big topic we got to talk about is name, image, and likeness. The NCAA is reportedly, quote-unquote, cracking down on it. There's a lot going on. We're going to talk all about it, but first, real quick, we're on the road to 200K. I haven't said it in a while, but if you're watching the videos and you're not subscribed, or you're new and you're not subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it. Go down there, hit that subscribe button. It's free. It doesn't hurt you whatsoever. You can always unsubscribe later if you choose to do so. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. Both of these topics are fascinating because they're going on at the same time, but I think the Jordan Addison one is just more, so we're going to talk about it first. In the past week or so, there's been an ongoing dilemma with Jordan Addison, Lincoln Riley, and everybody involved. He's arguably the best wide receiver in the country. He won the Biletnikoff last year, so I think it's safe he's easily going to be a top 2, top 3 receiver this year, no questions asked. I also firmly believe he's so good, he's going to thrive at any program. However, you got to understand what's a good opportunity and what's not a good opportunity. You got to be self-aware and self-conscious in this life. You got to be in touch with reality, because if you're not, this world's going to eat you alive. I think the biggest reason he entered the transfer portal and he's going to transfer to either USC, Alabama, or somewhere else is because his quarterback left. Who was his quarterback, you may ask? It was a guy who was pretty good, Kenny Pickett. Do I think Kenny Pickett's going to be good in the NFL? Not really, but at college, he was dominating. Him and Pickett had a good relationship. He was a star wide receiver, he fed him the ball a lot, and it worked out great. Last year as a sophomore, he had 100 catches for 1,593 yards and 17 touchdowns. That's incredible. He's not dumb though, and everybody would agree with this. If he played at Pittsburgh in the following year, he's not even going to come close to putting up those numbers. And when your numbers decrease and you don't have that good of a year, what happens? Your draft stock, it goes down. I don't think he'd fall off from a top 10 pick to a second rounder, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's not a good look. Even if you as a player, your game doesn't decrease, if your stats go down, NFL teams are going to look at that and it's going to be concerning, even if they know your quarterback wasn't that good. It's the bottom line. If you're a wide receiver, you have to, and I mean you have to play with a great quarterback, or at least a good one. Me, you, everybody watching this, we may not agree with everything, but I think we can agree with this. We would rather play for Caleb Williams than whoever Pittsburgh's quarterback's going to be. That's common sense, but I want to put it into a better perspective so maybe you can relate to it. I love the transfer portal. I love the NIL. You know why? Because these players deserve the right to control their own career. It's their life. It's their career. I don't think any player should be obligated to stick it out at a school or sit out a season or not be paid if someone's willing to pay them. The NIL is a little tricky. I don't think fans are necessarily upset with the players getting paid. That's not the problem. The problem is how they're getting paid and the tampering going on, if you want to call it that. I talked about it in yesterday's video. You know how I feel about it. The tampering thing, it's hypocritical. The fans only get mad when your school, you don't get the 4 or 5-star recruit transfer. Everyone's putting this tampering on Lincoln Riley at USC, when in reality, everybody's doing it. You really think USC was the only school to contact Jordan Addison before he entered the transfer portal? I don't think so. What's happening now in college football is it's free agency. You got guys on USC texting players from other schools saying, hey man, why don't you come here? We can get you some money and it's going to be awesome. We're in California. I do think the coaches are involved with it, but I think it's more so the players. When I was growing up, I played AAU basketball, and if you played, you know exactly what I'm about to talk about. AAU is basically travel basketball in the summer. It's not like the high school regulated season where you only stay at one school for 1 year. You can play for any team you want. So if you were good in playing AAU, you would have other guys texting you from other teams saying, hey man, why don't you leave that team and come join ours? We're better. I believe it's the same thing going on in college football. You're having players recruit players. Anyways, like I was saying, with all this transfer portal and the NIL and all this insane amount of money being thrown around by the boosters, I don't think it's the player's fault, the booster's fault, or the coach's fault. Here's what I think is really the main problem with everything going on. The NCAA implemented the NIL thinking it would slowly take off step by step, but everything's happening so fast they don't know how to react to it. I don't think anybody in their right mind, when they heard the NIL was passing, I sure didn't, thought there was going to be $3, $4, and $5 million just thrown around left and right. I mean, yeah, we thought some of these players would get $50,000, $100,000 brand deals, but when you get into the millions, that's life-changing money for a guy that's not even in the NFL. Me personally, you're entitled to your own opinion, but I'm not mad at Lincoln Riley or any head coach that is tampering or whatever you want to call it. Everybody's doing it, and it's the rules they implemented. If you're going to put the NIL in and the transfer portal, if I'm a head coach at USC, Georgia, any big-time program, I'm going to use that to my advantage. For everyone criticizing all these head coaches, mainly Lincoln Riley, you would be doing the exact same thing. I don't think some of you quite understand. Let me give you a great example. Let's say on a scale 1 to 10, 1 being ugly, 10 being the hottest thing ever, I'm a 5. I'm a mediocre and average looking dude. And let's say, for the sake of this video, you're a 5 out of 10 too. So me and you, we're 5 out of 10s. We're mediocre dudes. Well, let's say we see a cute or pretty looking girl and we want to talk to her or make her our girlfriend. Theoretically speaking, let's say you're rich, you got a big time business going for you, you're a multi-millionaire, you got a nice house, you got a nice car, you got everything. Me, on the other hand, I'm just an average looking dude and I have nothing going for me. I'm in a midlife crisis. I don't have a nice car. I don't even have a house. I have little going for me. So you mean to tell me you wouldn't try to use those assets you have to your advantage? I'm not saying you have to brag about it, but you would be prideful in it. You'd show off the house, show off the car, so you would have a step advantage over me. To impress that said girl, when you invite her over, you immediately know she's going to see your house and be impressed. On the flip side for me, I can't impress her like you can. There's not a single difference from that standpoint than what's going on with the NIL. If you have something you can use to your advantage to pick up a girl or pick up a 5-star recruit, why not use it? That's where I start to get tired of it. I'm sitting up here going, man, shut up, you're being a hypocrite. For the past couple of days, it's being said that USC, they offered him $3 million, the mansion, the car, almost everything you can ask for, and it seemed like it was a done deal. Or not a done deal, but it seemed like there was a high probability and high chance, almost 85%, he's going to go there. I don't think it's just the money, it's just the car, it's just the house that intrigues him to transfer to USC. What I think it is, and ultimately the main factor, is Caleb Williams. You have to understand, more than likely, this young man, he's going to be a first-round draft pick, rightfully so. I don't want to disregard $3 million because that's insane to people like me and you, but for this guy, that's not that much compared to what he could potentially make if he's drafted in the top 15. When you start to compare $3 million to $25 million, it's chump change. The short-term money, it's great, it's exciting, and it's hard for anybody to turn down, but the long-term money, it's better. Sometimes when you're patient, you can get rewarded. With all that being said, we have a new team that has risen to the top of the rumors about getting Jordan Addison, and that's Alabama. Everybody has had the same reaction when they hear Alabama could potentially get him. No, no, and no. If Alabama can somehow, some way land Jordan Addison, in the span of 2 or 3 months, they went from having a mediocre, questionable wide receiver core to the best in the country, no questions asked. And guess what? It's all because of the transfer portal. Nick Saban tried to warn everybody, but they didn't want to listen. This isn't even a rumor, it's been confirmed. Jordan Addison and Bryce Young in the past week, they've been working out and training in California together. I'm not the type to overreact to news, so I'm not going to get too hyped up about it and say, oh yeah, 100% he's going to Bama, because if you want my honest opinion, I still think he has a slightly better chance to go to USC. At the same time, I will say that intrigued me a ton because I'm like, whoa, hold on. Alabama, they might have a horse in this race. Remember what I talked about earlier? Players are recruiting these players. It's not just coaches. You mean to tell me you think they're just working out and not talking about the possibilities of teaming up at Bama? Come on now. You know dang well they're talking about what they can accomplish, the records they can break, and the championship they can win next year. What intrigues me the most about it is I try to put myself in his shoes, and you do the same thing. Which school would you want to go to? Lincoln Riley's an offensive mastermind. As a receiver, you're going to thrive in his system, and especially with Williams as your quarterback. You also got to take into account California, it's a nicer place, and they can probably offer him more money than Bama at the moment. And by them, I'm referring to the boosters. On the flip side, Alabama is Alabama. Do I have to explain it? You're going to play for one of the best coaches of all time. You're going to play for one of the best quarterbacks in Bryce Young. He won the Heisman last year. And also, Alabama, they're so good at developing players. Does Jordan Addison need player developing? Not really. He's already great. The only real leverage I would say Alabama has at this current moment is they can compete for a championship. USC, they're about 2 to 3 years away. So the real question is, does he want to win a college football championship, or is he trying to get ready for the NFL draft? I'm going to give y'all a little insight. I'm the most competitive person you'll ever meet. You may think you're competitive, but you ain't met me. I don't care if we're playing basketball, playing water polo, playing ping pong, or eating a sandwich. I'm not only going to try to beat you, I want to destroy you. I know what you're sitting there thinking, yo Matt, what in the heck does that have to do with anything? I said that to say this. If I know I'm going to be a first-round draft pick, I don't care whatsoever about winning a college football championship. Would I like to win one? Yeah, but that's not top of my priority list. I'm trying to get paid. Would you rather have a college football championship ring, or would you rather sign a $50 million contract? Maybe you want the ring, maybe you want the memories of winning a college football championship, and that's great, don't get me wrong, but for me, I want the money. I want the big contract in the NFL so I can take care of my family and take care of me. Because the last time I checked, if you win the college football championship, you're not getting paid millions of dollars. I don't know Jordan Addison, but I'm willing to go out on a limb here and say he's probably thinking the same thing. I could be wrong. Maybe he does value winning a national championship. I just wouldn't put my money on it. If you like college football, keep your eyes on this one because it doesn't matter what team he goes to, he's going to make an immediate impact. Last but not least, we got to talk about the other topic, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It goes hand in hand with what we talked about. It's the NIL and college football and the NCAA. They said they're going to crack down on it. They said a bunch of nonsense, but I'm going to sum it up real quick so you can understand what's going on. We can all agree the NIL, it's getting out of hand, and the NCAA, they have finally acknowledged that. They're going to do what we projected they would do in a year or two. They're going to implement some guidelines and reinforce them. Schools are going to be monitored, and they're also going to make sure boosters aren't doing some crazy crap. There's not really too much to say about it. I think it's self-explanatory. There's no argument or debate. We like the NIL. Players, they should be getting paid, but there's got to be regulations. I don't care what it is in life. There's reasons we have laws. There's reasons, there's rules for everything. You got to have some type of regulations. I will say I am curious as to what they're going to implement. Maybe it's something like you got to play a minimum of 3 games before you get some NIL money. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. But